Hi everybody, here's the tutorial on Tinkercad. So the web address for Tinkercad is tinkercad.com, but if you can't remember that, you can always Google search Tinkercad and it will be the first result that pops up in your search. So here's the home page. The first thing you're going to have to do is sign up for an account. It's pretty easy to do this, but if you're under a certain age, I believe 18 or so, then a parent will need to approve the account. So if you're doing this with younger kids, keep that in mind. You can have multiple people sign up for the same account though. Sign in with the same account. So you can always create one and have your class use it. Okay, so I already have an account, so I'll be signing in. And then we can get started. Tinkercad is a really great software to use. It's free, it's online, and it's incredibly user-friendly. So don't be intimidated by doing any 3D modeling. So the first thing you'll choose is Create New Design. There are other options here as well, though. If you click on Learn, you can take different lessons. If you scroll down, you'll see the different lessons that you can take. And generally, this is what I have students do when they come to the makerspace at the University of Ottawa to use the 3D printers. They'll go through a few lessons, and then the kids will figure it out on their own. The gallery is really interesting. It'll show you different projects that people have uploaded, and they're all free. Anyone can download them and print them for themselves, which is really amazing. Okie dokie. So let's get started. We'll click on the Tinkercad icon, and I'll choose Create New Design. Okay, so here's how Tinkercad works. You have a work plane on which you're working, and your mouse can do two different things, well, multiple things, but I'll show you two from right now. So with your mouse wheel, if you roll the wheel up, you're zooming in. If you roll the wheel down, you will zoom out. Okay, these are really, really useful. Additionally, if I drag with my right mouse button, so if I keep my finger on the right mouse button and I move the cursor around, I will rotate my work plane. If you don't like where you started off with your cursor, just let go and then click again. There we go. So those are the two main functions with your mouse when you want to change the view of your work plane. Okay, zooming in and out as well as rotating the work plane. Okay, let's get started. So you'll see that there's a toolbar on the right hand side here. Scrolling down, you can take a look at the different features Tinkercad has. So you have rulers to help you measure your objects. You have the different geometric objects here. You have some holes, some letters you can use as well. Oopsies, numbers, and then some other interesting objects like bunny ears and a chick foot. So let's start off with something simple and let's create a house. So whenever I use the term drag, I mean drag with the left mouse button. So I'm going to drag this box. I'm going to keep my left mouse button down and drag the box onto my work plane. There we go. And you can rotate it around if you'd like to take a look at it. Okay, that's my box. It's important to note that whenever you drag an object onto your work plane, it's generally going to start off on the surface of the work plane. So you don't need to verify that this object is on the surface of the work plane. It's not hovering above it. Okay, so let's put a roof onto this house. I've dragged a pyramid on, but I want the roof to be a bit bigger. I know offhand through experience, but you can take a look here. If you drag it over, you'll see that the base of the pyramid is exactly the same as the base of the cube, and I don't want that to be the case. I want this to be a bit bigger. So to enlarge objects, all you need to do is drag the corner out like that, and you'll see how the dimensions change, which is really nice. Other things that you can do with objects are rotating them. Okay, you can rotate them in different planes. So let's take a look at this arrow here. Hopefully it should be pretty clear to you that it's going to rotate within the work plane plane. So I will drag this around and you can rotate it. If you keep your cursor near the object, you will rotate in bigger increments. So this is here we're rotating by 22.5 degrees. And if you move the cursor out more and then you rotate, it'll be you can be a bit more accurate on your rotation. Okay. There are other arrows that you can rotate from as well, and these will rotate your object in different planes. So up here, let's move this cube out of the way. Okay, so if I click on here, I'm rotating the object in this plane. Okay. Alrighty, so I actually want to keep my object like this. I want the base to be a square, so let's take a look at the dimensions here. It's off. Let's make it 30 by 30. Close enough. There we go. Alright. However, I still need to move the object upward, correct? I want it to be on top of this cube. I cannot just drag it into the cube. So to do that, I'm going to drag this arrow. This arrow was pointing up, so I can move it up, but I can also move it down. So it's vertical. It's a vertical movement. If you don't see this arrow up here, you're going to see it down there. It depends on how, on the view of your work plane. So if I've rotated like this, I don't see the top arrow anymore, but I do see the bottom one, and it does the exact same thing. Okay, so you can actually drag things below the work plane surface, but I don't want that. So let's move these objects a bit closer together so we see. Ooh, there we go. So we see whether or not they're directly on top of each other. I want to drag this up. Okay, if you're unsure from your view whether or not you're on the surface or not, then you can zoom in as well. As you can see, there's a gap here. I want this to be directly on. Now I'm good to go. Okay, this is what I have so far. The issue is that if I were to ever move the pyramid, the cube is not going to move with it. These are separate objects. So we need to group them together if we want them to stay together. So to do that, you need to highlight both objects. So drag a box over the object and click on group up here. There we go. Now it's one object all together that I can drag around. Okay, and I can also rotate it as one object, which is great. Okay, next we're going to learn about making holes. So as you noticed earlier on, in your toolbar here, there are holes that you can use, but you can make any object into a hole. And I'll explain what that means, and you'll see. So let's make an indentation in this home. Kind of like a door. So let's use the round roof. I want it to be taller. So remember, this is movement up, but this is going to change the actual dimensions. There we go. I want it to be taller and thinner. Okay, it'll be kind of like a door frame. So essentially, I want this to be cut out of my object. Okay? So it doesn't matter if there are pieces outside. The amount that I want to cut in is about this much. So I'm just going to keep the rest of the object outside. Oh, this is tough. This is a tough view. This is why it's important to change your views, because sometimes it's difficult to manipulate. There we go. That's much, much easier. Okay. So what I'm going to do is make this into a hole. This is a solid right now. So if you select an object and then here you select hole, it will be a hole. So whenever I group all of these together, anything that's a hole will cut out of your solid objects, essentially. Okay, so let's take a look if this is truly what I want. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, I think we're good here. So I'm going to select everything. So again, I'm going to drag a box over all my objects, and I'm going to group them. Remember, the house and the roof are solid, and the door piece is a hole. So when you group it, there we go. It cut it out. Okay, and you can make windows and other neat things that you want. One thing that's very important to know is that if you do plan on 3D printing this object, generally you can't have any overhangs like this, okay, because a 3D printer prints from the bottom up, and so the material, the plastic, will lay, and then when the plastic tries to lay down here, there's nothing supporting it down here, and it's just going to fall. So that might be one issue. You can customize things as you see fit. So if you want to add, I don't know, let's add a letter on there. Let's add an S. So you're going to have to use all of your tools to remember how to do this. So you're going to want to rotate it, right? In this, let's rotate it like this first. I'm going to want the S on this side of the house. Then you need to rotate it in this plane. There we go. Okay. It's a little tricky. So basically, we're just going to move things around until it works. There we go. And then let's move it up. That's not too bad. Okay. We are going to embed this S into the house. It doesn't matter that part of the S is inside the house. When you group it together, you're not going to notice that. Ooh. It's a little bit tricky. Ooh, this is getting tricky. Okay. That's a decent view for this. And then let's just move the house to the right a bit. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, let's group them together. There we go. If I zoom in, you'll see better. See? So the S is actually sticking out of the house. The color of the object doesn't matter at all. It's the color of the plastic filament that's in the 3D printer that will determine what color your object will be in the end. You can do some other really, really neat things. So, oh, I forgot to mention, you can change the name of your object. This is just a random file name. So if you click on Edit, no, Design, Properties, you can change the name of your object. The object is automatically saved. You never actually have to save it. So if I go back and I click Tinkercad here, you'll see that the object was automatically saved here, even if I didn't change its name. Other things that you can do include importing objects from online and then manipulating them, which is actually really, really cool. I have some time here. I'm going to show you another website called Thingiverse. Thingiverse.com is better than Tinkercad for importing images, only because the search feature works really well. So say I want an iPhone case. I want to print out a hard plastic iPhone case. You can do a search for it. There we go, iPhone 4 case, iPhone 5C. So people have already created these designs. You don't have to go out and measure your phone case. So say I want to select this. You could download this thing. Okay, you can download all the files here. And then if you went back into Tinkercad, let's choose create new design. You can import it, okay? You can import the file here. It's going to show up on your work plane. And then you can modify it as you see fit.